Hello, everyone.
Hello.
It's Margaret, and this is my channel,
Hello.
and I have all of these lovely people here with me to talk about Vaultathon Round 2. So do you guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves really quick? Let people know a little bit about your channel, why they should subscribe, all that good stuff.
They indeed should. Who should start?
Good question.
I'll nominate people if I need to. Christine.
Okay, hi, I'm Christine.
I feel we've been friends for a long time, so I can pick on you.
I'm from the other Christine that reads. Yeah, that's me. I talk about books, and my dog went into heat today.
Oh, well, that's exciting.
Wow.
Poor
So there you go. She's a woman now.
All right. Love it.
All right, what's next?
Cool. I guess I'll go next. I'm Cecilia from That Disney Chick. I talk about books and movies and TV shows that I'm watching, and sometimes anime, whatever I feel like it, whatever works. That's it. I'm uploading a video tomorrow, so subscribe for me for that. No.
Hell yeah.
What's it about?
Well, it's just the recent reads, so it's going to talk about books I've hated, books I've loved, and all the Muppet movies I've been watching.
Categories of a recent.
All right, and Tati.
Great.
So, hi, I'm Tati. My channel is Tati the Tiny Booktuber, and I fangirl over books and bookish stuff.
Nice.
Nice.
All right, so for those of you that do not know, we had a group movie, obviously, and a group book. Treasure Planet was a group movie, and Brightly Burning by Alexa Dunn is our group book. I had things attached to my book. I was not expecting that. This is a sci-fi retelling of. Is everyone grabbing their book?
Yes.
I'm just like, hi.
Oh yeah, that thing.
Of Jane Eyre. And there are some places where I feel like it does a better job than Jane Eyre, and there are some places where I'm like, I don't feel like this works in a more modern setting.
I think it does entirely worse than Jane Eyre.
Oh my gosh, this is gonna be fun.
Oh. See, I've never read Jane Eyre, so I can't.
I read it this month, so I'm like very fresh.
I've never read it either.
How do you still have sunlight, Christine?
I don't know.
Oh, no, you don't.
Where do you live?
It's a reflection from the
Canada. It's
Oh.
you know. I have darkness all day long.
Canada.
I also have
So
both.
I started rereading Jane Eyre, and it was frustrating me, so I stopped because I had Susan Dinner to read.
But it's so good.
Fair.
I mean, there are parts of it that are good, but the romance, which is the reason I read things, is not.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Accurate.
Ooh.
So,
But neither is the romance in this, okay?
You're not wrong.
has its high points. Okay, we're not here to talk about
It
Jane
has
Eyre
its moments.
yet. But what were your guys' initial impressions, or like this time around impressions of Treasure Planet? What do you think of it as a whole in general? Like, is that a yay or a nay, Christine?
Why were they able to be in space and like be on the ship, and like why are they alive?
Christine, you're thinking too hard.
I think they're thinking a little too hard into it. Too much.
Also, just like, can we talk about the mild colorism?
We can, but let's get into that after we've kind of just like. So Christine didn't like it.
No, that would be accurate.
What about you guys?
So this movie, as you can see from my art print,
Yes.
art print, it is my favorite Disney movie. It's not my favorite, like, it's like in my top 3. I watched my original DVD that I've had when it came out when I was like 3 or 4, and I've loved it ever since. So
I'm so old.
it is a nostalgic read, or it's a nostalgic watch for me. So that's all I'm gonna say. I love it. I know it has its faults, but I don't care.
Okay.
It's also very nostalgic for me, but there are definitely issues that I really like picked up on this time versus the last time I rewatched it, which was like a couple of months ago, and I was like specifically going, okay, what are the prompts going to be? Like, oh, there are issues here, but it's still like, at its heart, I love the story that Jim has, and I love the
Yes.
between him and Silver.
He's a
It's a
really
great
good
story.
character. He's a great character.
He is. I just think some of the execution was very early 2000s Disney. So
The angst.
the angst, the fact that like Disney doesn't like to acknowledge the fact that there are people other than white people in this world, like half the time.
Or, you know, they're dark alien villains.
Anyway,
True.
Tati, before we get too into it, what were your thoughts of the movie?
I liked it. I thought it was fun. I hadn't watched it in years, and I didn't really remember too much of it, so it was kind of going through and seeing what I remembered a little bit for me. So yeah, that's what I thought.
I completely forgot about Ben. Like, I was like, wait. Like, he's an important character in
He
the
was one of the
original
few
novel.
things I remembered.
Yeah.
Because we used to have a little toy of him. I like remembered as I was watching the movie. I was like, I think I know that character.
Little upset he
It was like the
survived.
McDonald's toys they had.
Nice. Real quick question is, so I know you, me, and Tati, or Cecilia, Tati, and I have all watched this before. Christine, was this your first time, or have you seen it before?
I'd seen it, but like when it came out.
So when
And I remembered being
when
like,
you were an infant.
nah. No.
When you were a
Excuse me.
child.
In 2002, I was 5 years old, ma'am.
You were an infant.
That is prime young child. But yeah, or like maybe a few years after it came out, because I can remember it enough to be like, ugh. But like the fart monster and stuff. I mean, like,
I love the fur monster.
The fart monster is one of those things that you know is in there just to appeal to everyone's juvenile sense of humor.
yeah.
True.
You know, I was very sophisticated back in the day, so I remember that and I was like, yes, no thank you.
Love it.
Okay. Did anybody have a favorite moment in the movie? I know that's gonna be a hard question for Cecilia.
All of it? No, I'm kidding. No, okay, because I do have like one opinion that's like slightly controversial of why one thing I really hate about it, but like that's something else.
Tell me.
I would say
We'll get there, Christine. We're about to do least favorite, but first let's say if we have a favorite moment.
Oh yeah. I got two. I have two. The opening sequence when Jim is flying with his board will always be amazing. Like, it's beautifully shot. The music, it's beautiful every time. And the sequence where you see Jim and I always forget because this movie sometimes overlaps with me with Muppet Treasure Island. But Silver, like the Silver character, them bonding, their little montage with "I'm Still Here" or "I'm Still There," the song gets me in my heart feels every time.
That song
makes me feel happy.
Like, I love
It's
the
such a great song.
I love the montage and how emotional it makes you feel, and how you kind of see the fact that he's connecting with someone for the first time since his dad left. And like,
yeah, and as someone who hasn't had like their dad, it made me in the feelings. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that is my favorite part of the movie.
It's great.
Maybe I have no soul because that song just got on my nerves. But I like it. Well, I just hated the song. I was like, okay, what is this simple plan? But like, I really liked immediately after it when he's just like, I'm not good at anything. And he's like, no, man, you're good at stuff. You're going to be a great boy. And then he would like put his head on his stomach. Like, he was like, I was like, my heart. But like that, yeah. Do you like my reenactment?
Yeah, your reenactment was great. I also started to question our friendship because you don't like any of the great Disney songs.
Those are not the great Disney songs, okay?
I'm Still Here as a bop, and I still listen to it, and like in the shower while crying, like that's the jam.
The Tarzan soundtrack and I are coming to fight.
Oh no, the Tarzan soundtrack.
Wait, what soundtrack?
Tarzan.
Christine, have you heard?
It's a great Phil Collins.
Sorry.
Phil Collins, have you heard the musical for Tarzan?
There's a Tarzan musical?
There's a musical?
How do you not know this?
I don't know anything!
Let me write this down.
Yeah, I know! I want to see it right now.
Are they coming to Texas?
The music is banging. Okay.
Okay, well, future Vaultathon idea.
Tarzan.
Hold on.
Musical. It is written down. Because I will forget.
Yeah, hell yeah. She says it is coming to town, even though I live an entire continent away from her.
Is this one? And I don't know that you can even see it now unless you go to like a regional theater because it did not do well on Broadway.
Clearly.
Aww. Even though it's Disney?
There for a few months, but the music is so good. Not to get off on a tangent, but like Sure Sun Turns to Moon is a love song.
I'm gonna look it up.
I will have to look
all
the
of these
soundtrack.
songs are great. I just when I was still into musical theater and still wanting to do that, Jane was one of the characters I wanted to be. Anyways, Tati,
Jane, yeah.
Tati is frozen.
Can you guys hear me?
We
I
can
can
hear you.
I just said see you.
Oh, okay. Not sure why. Let me see.
Okay, here, let me try.
Well, your frozen face wasn't awkwardly frozen.
Yeah, it was just like.
Oh, it was a bit.
Here, look, I'm removing you from the stream, and then I'll add you back and give me just a sec. Okay, you should be back. We can still hear you though.
Okay, that'll work.
Just keep talking, and when your internet catches up, your internet will catch up.
Okay.
True.
We'll just pretend we're all blind like Rochester.
Okay. Awesome.
Not
So did you
wrong.
have a favorite moment?
In Treasure Planet?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, a moment I really loved is probably a moment a lot of people love is like that end scene when he's opening the map to save everyone.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
good.
The chase scene. Such a great scene.
Mhm.
The pacing. How do they figure out what I want to know is how you figure out when you have an animated, like it's hard enough for me to think when you have live action, how you shoot things and all of that. But when you have an animated sequence,
Like the angles?
how do you figure out the angles and all that? I'm just like I'll see stuff and I'll be like,
Mhm.
I never thought of that in a million years.
Yeah.
You're probably better
Yeah.
trained than we are.
True. I was like a film major for like 3 days, so I know
3 days.
Like, okay, it was more like 3 months, but it's close.
That's longer than I've been a film major for. So
It's still not a long time, so I know very little.
Okay.
But I get a bit of like the staging and stuff like that of how to make like interesting shots. But from an animation standpoint, no clue.
Fair.
Like I feel I need a physical representation.
Mm-hmm.
Tati, why don't you try closing out of the studio and then coming back through that Twitter link because you're able to do that. Okay.
Or turn on the lights.
Yep, will do.
Okay. All right. We'll start with Lee's favorite moment while she's doing that, since we have the three of us. Does anybody currently here have a least favorite moment? Yes, Chris. Oh shoot!
Oh no!
Oh no! Okay, I was like, where'd I go?
You're fine. Okay. Yes, Christine, go ahead.
Okay, the fart monster, cheap, stupid, detracts at least 10% of the movie's intelligence. Ben, the laziest character I've ever seen. They're just like, oh, how do we get out of this pickle? A dumb little robot. And I'm like, great, wow. And they have to have him shouting all the time. What is he, me? And then like, just.
I like self-drag.
Thank you. And then like the general like I just feel like the general like a goopy slimy monster like I'm like
Patsy's back.
oh, and Morph can fight me. What an asshole.
All right, you're getting at. I'm kicking you out of this, Christine. What is wrong with you?
Yeah, you can leave. No.
Oh, I got stuck again. Okay.
Oh, no.
It's fine. We can still hear you.
This time you're smiling at least.
Yeah, you got
Yeah.
True. And you have like
your way.
Wait.
I think my least favorite moment, and like it's funny because I really liked this when I was a teen, but my least favorite thing about the movie, at least, was like I love Captain Amelia. I love Emma Thompson. I
Mhm.
think they did a fantastic job, but I think the execution of her in some cases were not that great. Like, she's got stilettos and she's climbing the rafters. She's got a on. And then, of course, we had to have her have babies with Delbert instead of just, like, obviously having them be in a relationship.
She walked
That's
so
true.
that Lila Bard could run. That's all I'm saying.
Love it.
So, yeah, that and the fact that the moment that I realized that, like, everyone, and this, it's horrible that this is the first time I'm realizing it, but, like, everyone in the movie was either white or an alien. And I was like, Disney, do better.
And the color
true.
schemes of the aliens. The good guys are like, here's a pink cat and like a white dog. And the bad guys, here's a black rodent thing and like a black mantis thing. And I'm like,
Mhm. I get that.
Do
Yeah, see,
I
for me,
lo-
for that, oh yeah. For me, for that in those movies, is that like 80% of Disney's movies are like that. So
Yeah.
to me, I'm just like, if you critique this movie, you have to critique all of them.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
So it's kind of like, I can't fault it as just this specific movie's fault for doing that. I have to fault like the whole company as that's kind of
Yeah.
fault. Like
Totally.
so like, you know what I mean? So it's not, that's for me, that's not a personal fault of the movie. That's just a fault of the company when I think about
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's
So
just
my-
so on the nose, you know? Like,
Yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah, it's very on the nose. It's noticeable.
if you're
Yeah.
watching The Lion King, it's not the same, like, feeling, right?
Yeah, it's different, yeah. And
Yeah.
then like the dirt they did on the Princess and the Frog, but we can talk about that a different time.
Mm.
I have tea about that movie. Ooh, I have tea.
Ooh, maybe we can get to that one.
So
I'll
many
have-
Vaultathon ideas.
I know, right? Like, but my least favorite thing about this movie
Yeah, there
is
are only two
Ben.
movies right now that are off limits for Vaultathon, and that's Pocahontas and Song of the South. Those are not coming out of the vault for us to watch.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Not unless,
But
like,
yeah,
unless we were doing one that's everything that's wrong with Pocahontas.
that would take like 3 hours at most. I mean, at
The
minimum.
first problem is just the inaccuracy. The first problem is just that she was 3.
13.
She was like a child.
No, she wasn't even a teenager. She was like a baby. Like
Yeah.
a little kid when that happened. So I'm just like,
Wow.
Bro.
Anyways, so okay, we know Christine's least favorite part, my least favorite part. I think the hardest part was like because it's like futuristic, and that was why it bugged me the most. I'm like, we're saying we're in the future. Like I can understand why Frozen doesn't necessarily have that. Like it's just white people. Like I can understand that.
Scandinavia is still just white people.
So
Pretty much.
But to have like, and that's one of the things that we'll talk about when we get to the book, because I want to talk about like compare some things.
All right, let's see if this works.
But anyways, did you guys have any like least favorite moments or critiques for the movie that you personally felt?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead. Cecilia, go ahead.
I as I've gotten older, I've realized I hate Ben to like a burning passion. He is the Jar Jar Binks of this film.
Yes.
And everything is great, and then Big comes on, and every time I'm like, I swear to God, I just gonna be like,
so
like, real
annoying.
quick, like he annoys the crap out of me. And every time he just says anything, I'm like, can you just go in the corner and like I'll just put duct tape over your mouth real quick, and like we'll just pretend nothing happened.
Just decommission him, like end his life. He's not like he doesn't feel. Just kill him.
Like why was he there? Like there was no reason. Like the movie would have been literally
Convenient plot device.
like he's a plot device, and I hate him.
Is it fact based on a character that is in the book? Because there is one of Flint's crew members in the book that was marooned, and he ends up helping them find like fort and some other stuff. There are a lot of characters missing in this movie.
See, yeah, because I know in Muppet Treasure Island, that's Miss Piggy.
Yeah.
Is the one who's marooned, and I had never actually read the original, which is weird because I love like all of the adaptations.
Well, there you go. Next month's
I need
TBR.
to do that. If I hate it, I would be so upset.
I mean, it's probably pretty terrible, but
It's
I mean, yeah, it's got those plot lines. As long as it's got those plot lines, I think I'm at least gonna give it like a 3.
yeah, it's
okay, fair.
I read it last year, I think. Hold on. Tati just disappeared on us. Oh, there she's back.
Oh no.
Are you moving?
Okay.
Okay, Tati is moving.
Yay.
So that like a lot of those plot lines, they're there in the book, and some of them don't necessarily translate to the future. I felt like Jim being the cabin boy didn't really necessarily translate to the movie as well as it does in the book.
Especially if you have robots.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
So, all right, Tati, did you have any least favorite moments or anything?
None that are coming to mind at the moment. I was just like nostalgia.
Yes, I love it. Nostalgia is like half the reason we love the movie. Okay, so moving on to the book.
True.
General impressions about the book. I will say it probably has gone down from a 5-star read for me to a 4-star read. Just because I'm annoyed at stuff more in this.
Mm-hmm.
So.
It's like if you took...
Christine, you look angry.
Yeah. Okay, so...
You're just like...
Okay. So the thing about Jane Eyre is that it's spicy, right? Like, no matter how you feel about what actually happens, it's controversial. It's a statement, okay? Yeah, does Rochester frickin' suck? Of course he does. But does his character development, like, resolve well, and is he well written? Like, yes, also that. So just the fact that this was, like... nothing was spicy or controversial. Hugo's like a fine person. Like he's like okay, he's just kind of a fuckboy. Like he's not like like there wasn't any. I don't know. Like I wanted him to be like bad, and I wanted her to like be like. I don't know. Like it just felt like where was the spice? Where's the spice? Oh, a virus gonna wipe out everybody? Who cares? Where's the interpersonal spice? Also, hear me out. Hear me out. Instead of having the mom plot line, instead of having another woman in the attic, what if the AI had gone crazy? Like, what if the AI had gone dark and been doing all that stuff? Like, what if we had like an Ultron? Like, wouldn't that have been so cool? You can remove the whole gendered aspect of the woman in the attic because it's an AI, it's genderless. Mm-hmm. And just, it would have been so much spookier and spicier.
So Illuminate, basically.
Oh, and that portrayal.
I haven't read that, but like... Also, space sucks.
Oh my gosh, the first time I read this, I was like legitimately having moments where I would be anxious because they'd be talking about oxygen running out and water running out, and I'm like,
it's horrible.
So, okay. Tati or Cecilia, any general thought?
I mean, okay, so like 4 hours ago when I finished it, I gave it 4 stars, and I don't remember why. It's only been 4 hours. I was glad because this got me out of a 3-day reading slump because I read a 1-star book earlier this week, and it was atrocious. So this brought me out of it, which was good. I feel motivated to read again, but it had its moments where I was like the I was not into the romance. Mm-hmm. It wasn't feeling it. I had another love interest that I wanted her to be with, and it didn't happen. Whom? Okay, John.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. I like their banter, and I like their banter together. And I thought that and John was already into her, and she was already like, yeah, you hot. So I was like, it's just.
And the problem with that is that John in Jane Eyre, John sucks. So I was like, why'd they make him so cool in this? Like, why's he got to be so
like the
nice?
Coolest dude.
Yeah, it's disappointing. I wanted him to suck, and I liked him.
I know, but it was like I was just, and then we never got to hear what happened to him and why. You made me love him, and George
does end up
not needed in the book.
Just like St. John in the book.
George isn't needed in the book, and that's pretty much it.
No, yeah, true. Who is that even supposed to be parallel for?
I don't know. Because I was thinking that was for Sinjin, but you're right. John is the one that
Yeah. Because he literally is like, let's go off and be in a different place and come with me, Jane. And I'm like, it's John is literally St. John. But who's George? Is George Helen?
Possibly.
I don't know. But like, isn't it so much more powerful if Helen's a female? Like, I just don't.
I mean, the whole point is Helen's supposed to be dead.
Right? Yeah, so they could have killed John or George, not John.
Okay.
They had an opportunity and they didn't.
Jokes, he's alive. Like,
Like, bro, why?
What were your general thoughts?
I gave it 4 stars as well. I really enjoyed it. I liked a lot of the sci-fi aspects of it. I don't know how probable they are, but it was the first fun sci-fi I've read in a little while, so I really liked that.
That's nice. Okay, do we have any favorite moments in the book? Christine, I'm not expecting any from you.
no, I gave it 3 stars. I didn't hate it.
I gotta think.
Mine, I feel like, is that first, and I can't remember why it is because I highlighted it and wrote it down so I wouldn't have to, but like that first connection they have that's parallel to the proposal because Stella is actually like fighting back and like I love that moment in Jane Eyre and I loved it in this as well. Like I'm just like, yes, you tell him.
What did I write in the proposal in Jane Eyre?
I don't remember. I don't have your book.
Oh, I'll find it.
I don't know. I found the proposal in this book kind of stupid.
I did too. I didn't love the proposal. Like
they just kissed like literally not even 24 hours beforehand,
it's
and then
not
he
that
was
one.
like, "Marry me." I'm like,
no. It's when
Why,
he's drunk
though?
and he's dealing with the fact that his dad is dead. That's the scene where like they really get to bond with the fact that like they basically have the same childhood or like they both have like baggage in their past. I liked that.
Mm-hmm.
Such a thick book.
and I'm like trying to remember what happened.
I tabbed mine up if you can see that. So I wouldn't tab
Okay.
but
I was too lazy to tab.
yeah, I don't know that I had any favorite.
There was nothing relevant enough for me to tab in Brightly Burning, except the one time where I was like, bad writing. But
I liked the one where she said, "Think of it this way: the dark helps us to better see the stars, so it can't be all bad." I liked that.
Mm-hmm.
I did like that.
Oh yeah. Oh, I did like one part where Hugo was like, "Oh, you're my equal," and I'm like, "Yes." Why was that so great? I don't know why. The only time I liked the relationship, I'm like, she doesn't need to go into the kitchen. Thank you.
Yes, I love. I there were some moments that I was like, this doesn't translate as well into a sci-fi in this day and age.
my
was trying to. What are you trying to show us, Christine?
I can't find the camera on my screen. I wrote honestly, holy shit for the proposal. I was just like, wow.
Love it.
It's a really great moment.
It is, yeah.
It's one of the few moments I feel like Rochester kind of gets it right.
Yeah, he did. That's the thing, I was like, I would say yes to that, and I hate him. But he did it.
So.
Love it.
All right. Tati, did you have a favorite moment or a favorite quote?
I kind of loved every moment she saved his life. I don't know if anybody else likes those moments. I love the suspense.
I love that. Although I am curious as to why they would just completely blow an entire room, the window out of an entire room on a metal spaceship where you could just literally seal off the room and let the fire kill itself.
You think they would just make it like a mini airlock real quick and just remove the oxygen?
Yeah, exactly.
Or pour in some fire hydrant.
Nah,
mist,
we're gonna just
whatever that is
eject the room.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, does a new room grow back?
Yes.
Because the way they were explaining it, they're like, oh, they're just gonna fix it, and I'm like, so they're just gonna grow it? It's like losing a limb for
I think they have to rebuild. They put the window back in and they have to rebuild. So.
Yeah.
Oh, I think my favorite finding it in the book, I really like, and I feel like I didn't give this enough appreciation, was when Bianca and Stella talk at the end of the book, and you're like, oh, Bianca, not that bad. Because that never happens in Jane Eyre. In Jane Eyre, you're like, freaking Blanche the whole book, right? But in this, you're like, she's not terrible, you know?
I mean, she kind of is.
Yeah.
Whoa! She helped her out. She helped her out.
Okay,
She's 30%
helping
terrible.
her out does not make up for the fact that she said that Jessa might have had a mental disability because she didn't talk till she was 4. Like,
Yeah,
nothing.
that's true.
No thanks.
That is true.
And the way she talked
You're
to
not wrong.
Stella, like I know it was a character thing from Jane Eyre, but like somebody treats somebody like that, I'm not gonna be a friend with them.
Speaking of Jessa, I hated that they were siblings because he's supposed to not give a shit about her. He's supposed to be like the child, whatever. And he was like, Jessa Bear. And I was like, wrong. like, no, thank you.
So that was one of the things that I actually ended up liking better in this version. There are 2 things I like better in this version. And the one is the fact that it is that Jessa is his sister instead of his daughter, and that he is actually trying to be a good brother, but at the same time, like, she's his little sister.
It removes some of the humor from the fact that he's just like that dull, stupid child.
Yeah, you never see anything like that. It's kind of just like, oh, I kind of forgot about her. I'm like, how did you forget about your sister?
Yeah.
I think about my brother all the time.
Yes. Like, what? I don't know, maybe because I'm an only child, but still, I think I remember their existence, especially when you live in like such small quarters. You have like meals together all the time.
Yeah. Well, they weren't. That's part of it. Like, I understand because there was like a 9-10 year age difference between the 2 of them, and that seemed pretty accurate to what I've seen with like older siblings and really young siblings. They don't tend to hang out as much when there's a big age gap. And then when like I have friends that like their younger sibling is like 5-10 years younger than them, and they hang out a lot now that they're adults. But like they didn't do all that much when they were kids. I
just thought one of the funniest parts of Jane Eyre was that Adele was obviously his daughter, and he was just like, no, she's not. I hate that kid, and like it's so funny. And then like in this, it's just you just take that horrible aspect away. It's like
I think maybe root for Hugo instead of being like, dude, you're a mess. Please go away.
Maybe that's
like therapy. Like you need to work on your alcoholism, and then we'll talk.
He did. Boy had a problem.
Like it was like every scene, like let me have some whiskey, and I'm like,
we could have done without that.
No wonder he crash landed to Earth. He was probably in detox.
I had no problem with him having an occasional glass of something, like when he was sitting with Stella. My issue was when he was just continually drunk.
Yeah, that's what they never addressed that.
I think part of that, like, going, like, reverse psychology, I don't know. I was like, maybe it's because he was having to drug his mom, and he really felt guilty about it and was trying to drown out the guilt. That's the word. But still, I was just like, did this, could we not have had him just be like, would the alcohol have changed his behavior anyways?
No, because he wasn't, like, sloppy.
Yeah.
He wasn't a hot man.
Yeah.
So it's just like, oh, you just have an addiction and we're not going to talk about it. That's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you think he's
lost?
Think he's not going to have an addiction when he gets to Earth? He will. That's going to be one unhappy marriage unless he gets that sorted out.
Yeah, he definitely used alcohol as a coping mechanism. And I was like, this is not, we didn't need this. So, and especially since, like, I don't remember Rochester being that much of a lush in the book.
No, really.
I was like, he just is
his
a jerk.
His personality was the problem.
his personality
was hearing
up front with Jane. Anyway.
I also feel like, yeah, there was chemistry between Hugo and Stella, but it wasn't as good as the chemistry between Rochester and Jane in the fact that a lot of it was really forced. Mm-hmm. Like, he was like, come sit with me and read me books and I'll read it to him. But, like, it just seemed like Jane wanted to spend time with Rochester after, like, the first while, and he was just like, no, socialize with me. And I was like...
Like, yeah, like, we could have gotten this and just been like, hey, come hang out, and like, you're welcome to hang out with the library.
Because if you're not going to make him a bad guy, Why
Yeah.
make him so forceful?
Yeah, that I didn't
Very like kind of attention seeking.
yeah.
Wasn't into it.
Like I can understand the fact that he's for the first time in his life has someone his age on the ship. But at the same time I'm like, why is he forcing her to come and sit where these people are, especially when it came to the Ingrams?
Yeah.
Why is this happening when
And put her in a position where she's getting groped.
Yeah, where she's getting groped, where people are hurling verbal abuse at her. I was just like, ugh.
Yeah, I didn't like it. Also, I didn't like Stella, but
yeah.
It's okay, Kristen.
She can go out the airlock too. Everyone can go out the airlock. The cat.
See, I didn't like her, but I felt like, like I didn't like her, but I feel like she felt like a real character. You know what I mean? Which I appreciate. Like I don't like when characters just feel like I feel like I know, like at least I know what Stella's motivations are and what she likes.
That's true.
And her personality, which I will give. You know what I mean? I hate when sometimes you don't get that in a main character, and you're like, bruh.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So,
she was developed. She just wasn't developed into someone I liked. That's fair.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so she was developed.
Yeah.
I'll give her that.
Yeah.
Which I enjoy.
Right.
She wasn't as good as Jane, though.
It wasn't quite the same. I did like how they updated some of the stuff and the fact like that she left because she was trying to save other people. I liked that part. But so here's a question for y'all. When she goes into like the burning room that's about to be vented out into space to save the Jungle Book, was that book worth being saved?
Anything by Rudyard Kipling? Absolutely not.
Definitely not.
I was like, I feel like that's racist garbage. And can go.
I was kind of wondering because he leaves it in her room. I was wondering if he like left something in the book for her, and because like then he seemed disappointed when she gave it back to him, and then we just never, like there was never any follow up. So I was like, oh well, this was a pointless plot line.
Yeah.
True. She even like talked about it. And I'm like, then why did you run in there? Did it really matter? He would have gone over it.
Not a book. That's bad.
Oh no.
You're
like there's a library full over there.
Over there. His dad could have chosen any other book, and he chose that one.
It would have been like the equivalent of me running into space to save this book.
Would you run into a burning room to save this book?
I feel like she is at least slightly less racist than Rudyard Kipling was.
Oh yeah, there wasn't really any racism. I didn't feel. Okay. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I missed something. But
so while we're on the subject of racism, how do you feel comparing Treasure Planet to Brightly Burning? How do you feel they handled gender and race between the two? Like, I think
that the race in both were like glossed over because that there's like that some people speak Mandarin, but other than that, you don't really know a lot. You're like, are there no Black people in space? Are there no like Hispanic people in space? We really didn't get a lot of that. You know what I mean?
However, if you think about, let's say that there is going to be an ice age and our governments do pay for certain people to go up into space, it would just be white people and the Chinese. That's what would happen. They would leave people of color to freeze.
True, but that they had the whole ship called the Mumbai, which I assumed everyone
was Indian.
I don't know if it was. Yeah, I assumed everyone was Indian, so then I was kind of confused as well.
Yeah, because like, you had that plot line where like Indian people came to the Empire and they were like, not tea pickers. Oh my god. Like very snooty.
Like there was racism throughout it and classism and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But
the classism started really cool. Like I thought when they had like the whole like food growing ships versus like tech ships and stuff, it started really cool. And then we lost the thread a bit towards the end with the virus thing. But
well, I mean, I feel like it was still kind of talking about the lower classes versus the upper classes as a thread that you see throughout the book. Like you have it in the ship versus the ship. You have it in the fact that her aunt's not getting care. You have it in the fact that they're not going to give the vaccine to people who are considered the lower classes. Which I when I was reading this, I don't remember why the whole health insurance thing like really like it connected for me the first time I was reading it. I was just like, oh yeah.
Because the son ran out of all the family money, and so they left the aunt to die.
Pretty much.
Right? Yeah. I think maybe for me, and because I think, okay, and I'm going to compare it to Jane Eyre again, because I just read it this month and I really, really liked it. I feel like the class commentary in Jane Eyre is really not extreme. Like she makes very powerful statements about very mundane everyday life issues. Mm-hmm. And in this, it was like the best way we can show classism is a super virus. And I was like, I don't think so. I think like it missed some of the nuances and the subtleties, and maybe that's why I was like, it doesn't have to be this extreme, like deorbiting a ship or like sentencing people to death for it to make sense, right? Like I think that the aunt being denied healthcare is a better representation of that, maybe. Like how just like the everyday life, not these extreme events. Because if this had been a retelling of the Irish potato famine, that would have made more sense. But as it was not, I was like, oof, calm down. But
I read that book.
Me too. Yeah.
Like, it sounds great.
Yeah.
That's funny. I feel like she was trying to, like, what's the word? Capitalize on the sci-fi element.
Totally.
That kind of thing. Like, because I feel like when you were talking about having certain ships be less well repaired than other ships, that's a huge issue. Then it translates to today where we'll have certain parts of the city that are taken better care of.
Yeah.
Other parts of the city.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the super virus might have been a little bit much.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like you needed something that was really going to get Stella, I keep trying to call her Jane, Stella, away from Rochester, and I don't think much else would have. Like, she's like, I have to go accomplish something versus like, because I feel like since it's his mom and not his wife, I don't feel like she would have left unless there was something that there was a reason she needed.
A reason, yeah.
So she had to create a reason for her to leave.
Like, what if, I don't know, like, instead of, like, the because I think, like, in Jane Eyre and in history, we see more organized abandonment rather than intentional. Like, this is like organized abandonment being like, oh, we're just going to purposely not care and let these people fall into disrepair instead of, like, actively trying to kill them. And I think that wasn't quite done well enough here. Like, what if a ship had, like, fallen out of orbit and a bunch of people had died because they didn't give it repairs rather than, like, we're going to kill them with a virus? Like, you know, like, I don't know.
That would have been better.
That would have made much more sense.
Yeah.
Especially considering we have that
like
hanging over us the entire time.
Yeah. Just something nuanced. You know? I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm literally marking papers on 19th century England, but I just, you know, I don't know. I'm just...
Also, I was thinking throughout the entire, like, ending that when basically Stella forgives him, I'm still just kind of like, why? Forgives him for everything. Like, he had an opportunity to stop stuff, but he chose not. Yeah, and he was like,
his mom's worth it.
Yeah,
if I had to let my mom die to save all those people, bye, mom. Like, sorry, I love you.
I feel like
we'll go get out of the airlock.
I feel like he's not very much of a what's the like a self-starter. Like, he didn't know the dude had gotten the virus, but he still had a chance where he could have, like, said something to someone about the fact that, hey, we have my scientist has given this thing to this person. Like, I understand like they're forced, but at the same time, like, I wish we'd had a little bit more reason for him to hold back, I guess.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, I can understand him not wanting anyone to know his mother is alive because she's supposed to be dead. Still,
yes, hiding her, I guess.
Hiding her makes sense.
So.
Still would have been cooler if it was the AI.
Yeah. Or if just the ship
I read the whole book and I was like, I'm gonna write a retelling of Jane Eyre. It's going to be extraordinary. Like I could do better.
So funny. Let's see. I have. Speaking of the AI, am I the only one that was slightly disturbed by the fact that it could choose when to override things for certain people?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Why?
Especially because we're so new to the ship, and I'm like, you know, she's been here for like 2 days, and you're already overriding stuff for her.
How did she seduce the AI? Like, he's like, it's not supposed to like anybody.
Is there like a weird sex scene you didn't see?
She just faked it in the shower, and no, that's what it is. The AI saw her in the shower and was like, "Holy shit!" Like,
she's like, "Ooh, you got plot on."
That shower sounded. This is so funny. It sounds like I don't like this at all. That shower sounded like the most uncomfortable thing ever. Like, where I'm just gonna like drop soap and shampoo on you. Like, no, just give me a freaking dispenser. That's gross.
The shower should be a personal experience. Like, yeah.
That's so.
And then when later she was like, the other AI, Lori, is an asshole, and I was like,
aren't you the same?
y'all are like Windows 10 and Windows 7. Like, what do you want me to say? Like,
in Windows,
like it just
7 defense, Windows 10 is an asshole.
Okay, yeah. But you know what I mean? Like they're not.
In general, Windows is just annoying. Anyways, I say as someone who misses.
Yeah, it was weird. It felt like Stella just had plot armor, especially when every time we'd be like, "Oh, I'll just override the system." I'm like, that would never happen. Especially maybe if you're the captain, but because like the captain, you're like, he's been here his whole life. I could see that, but not you.
There were a couple of situations where I was like, I can understand the AI is able to assess the situation. Like when when Hugo is in the bay and they're breathing nitrogen. I can understand that because she's able, AI has enough to be like, okay. But then there were times I was just like, why are you letting her in there?
Yeah.
True.
So,
also, when he hacked her tablet using the AI, I was just like,
bruh.
That made me slightly. I like that he apologized for it, and then he's like, "I wasn't thinking, and I should not have invaded your privacy like that." I like the fact that happened,
except that he still did it.
I don't like the fact that he hacked her tablet.
Yeah,
but he also apologized to it like 12 hours later. It wasn't like immediate.
Yeah,
he was like later in the day. He was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I did that earlier," and you're like, "Should have said that."
But here's all the artwork.
So
yeah, like okay.
Yeah, I was like he made it sound like it was something that he had realized over the course of the day, but then he said something about Jessa lecturing him on it. I was like, okay, but when did Jessa lecture you on this? When did you see Jessa?
Yeah. Exactly. If Alex hacked my Sam Bucky fan fiction and posted it on my walls, we'd be over. We're done.
I feel like this is slightly less kinky. But
well.
Like, I could understand if he'd be like, hey, can I, like, what are some of your favorite prints? Can you show them to me? Because she obviously would have done that.
Yeah.
I think that had been a plot point rather than, and maybe Alexa was trying to make a what's the word? A point with that, to kind of like point out the fact that, hey, you shouldn't, like, override people's, like, you shouldn't invade their personal things. But yeah, it still made me not feel good about it. So, yeah. I was just like, this is, There are just certain things I felt like in this book didn't translate as, I've said it before, I didn't translate as well. And I don't have any notes on what they were, but like, I felt like.
I have a note of a dumbass sentence if you want me to read it.
No, that's not, it's less that and more like
yes.
That didn't translate as well. That like it works when you're in the 18th century and it made like Rochester, like Hugo not speaking up when Bianca was going off on Jessa or Stella. Like that made more sense. The fact that like they were telling him what to do with his own ship, that didn't make sense in this situation. I'm like, why is he letting you?
The other thing too is that in order to like make him more likable, we've established that he's less classist than the other ships, right? Like this ship is a lot more informal, like. So blah, blah, blah. And in the books, like Rochester does have a really big sense of class awareness, right? Like he wants to like give Jane all this stuff to make her look richer than she is. And that's one of the things that has to change for them to end up together. And in this, for it to be like, oh, you know, like, oh, we don't care about class here, but the minute the Ingrams are here, I'm not going to defend you and I'm going to care about class. Like that's weird to me, right? That like class was an issue and it was convenient instead of, for Hugo, instead of over the course of the novel, like as a development thing.
And also, can we talk about the fact that he asked her if she wanted him to get her room back, rather than just like straight up
Yes.
out
Well,
there
that's what I mean, right?
and saying, "Hey, no, my ship, you get out of there. That's not your room."
Yeah.
Like to some extent, I understand that like he probably sees Mr. or Captain Ingram as maybe a father figure and doesn't want to offend him. But at the same time, I'm like, boy, thanks for
Except at the poker table.
Yeah, except at the poker table.
Like, okay,
He didn't care that.
hello.
He didn't care that.
I just like I was like, why does it take you like a week to get the balls up to do something about the fact that this girl just strong-armed someone who was your employee and made them.
Let's be real. Bianca was the real Mr. Rochester the whole time.
She
Maybe
changed.
the real Mr. Rochester were the Biancas we made along the way. Sorry,
That's a quote I need
light
on
is
t-shirt.
flickering because I'm trying to unplug it. All right, let's see. So do you guys? So I understand that like no one was supposed to know his mother was alive, but do y'all think that him keeping Stella in the dark was justified in this case?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's coming from me where I'm like, I don't trust anyone with my secrets. Like,
Christine, and yet some of the things you DM me.
listen, me saying Michael Fassbender can split me in half is not a secret. Hello, you can do that if you want, Michael Fassbender. Hi. That's not a secret, Margaret. I'll DM you a real secret.
What though is the question. So
here's my real secret. Okay, I'll DM you.
Oh my god, no, don't do it now.
I'm gonna do it right now.
Oh man. All right, so one other thing that I know we definitely want to talk about was I liked how rather than making you suffer through 100 pages on her awful childhood, she kind of teased it as we went through this book. I really liked how she kind of adapted that. Christine's like,
I can see why she did it.
Yeah.
I missed some, like, I think it took a bit away from the character development because that is like a big part of the original, but I think it was the right choice.
Yeah.
Especially for a YA book,
too.
right?
Yeah, it definitely was.
Like, no one would care if you're talking about your childhood for the first 50, 100 pages. Everyone would, like, stop reading it.
They would.
You know what I mean? I mean, of a YA book.
Yeah.
Specify, you know, of a YA book. For the target audience.
Yeah.
I might sometimes I'm like, why are you doing this to me when I'm reading sci-fi and fantasy? I'm just like adult stuff. I'm like, this could have been worked in so much better instead of 3 pages of just this.
Yeah.
YA has changed the way I look at fiction sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, sometimes things that are adult are worse.
Not only sometimes, like often.
Like the lesser word count really does force writers to be less lazy with their writing.
Well, that's kind of how I felt about Queen of Nothing. It was so short that everything mattered. And I was like...
Which we're not talking about because it just came out this week. And so...
Guess what? Guess what, guys? Are you ready? I'm going to spoil it.
What? Christine's muted. I have that power, Christine. I went to my Barnes & Noble and they had like 6 copies when I went on Tuesday to get my copy of Queen of Nothing, and they only had 1 when I went today to get Supernova.
Oh wow, yeah. I mean, yeah.
See, I haven't read The Cruel Prince yet. But I know I should. I had it checked out from the library and then I forgot to read it.
It is sexy.
But I know I should.
It's a disaster and I love it.
Yeah.
No,
it's basically like a world where everyone is a Slytherin, and that's all I really want out of this planet. So,
as a Slytherin, I need it.
Yes,
no, but I remember
you do.
And I was listening to the audiobook and I got 30% of the way through and I remembered literally nothing other than Carden's tale. Literally the only thing I remember.
You know, Carden would be personally mortified that that's all you remembered. He personally is offended.
Just as I went to the mall and his tail. That's all I remembered in 30% of the book. And I was like, maybe the audiobook isn't the way I should do this. So I was like, I'll try physical next.
Listen, I read books multiple times and I'm like, wait, what happened? But I think that's just me.
Okay.
You don't remember what happened? I read this 4 hours ago.
because it's not memorable.
Shot. I am a goldfish.
I'm trying to rush through things. It doesn't work well. Tati, do you have any thoughts that you wanted to share about the book?
One thing that I did think about was just when it comes to like, I guess the structure of the book, I thought the end felt a little bit rushed. There was just like a lot to compact in there.
Yeah.
But then you're compacting like all of Jane Eyre into this small book. So I don't fault it too much for that.
Yeah, Jane Eyre is definitely something that's interesting to read. And I like it for the, like, it's funny because the first time I read it, I was really into the romance. And this time I'm like, no, Rochester's a jerk. And you can tell how, like, the character growth between being like, oh, wait, this man is not up to my standards when he was in the first book or the first time I read it. But I really appreciate the fact that it is a story about a girl figuring out who she is. And I think she changed it a little bit in this one, but I still like it. Also, the cover.
Yeah, because this one, she doesn't really figure out who she is in this one. At least I don't think she does.
No.
It felt like she felt more of like what she wants, but not who she is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this one, the characters are so well dissected. Like, like you can easily predict what Jane and Rochester would do in a given situation. And this one, like, if you're like, how would Hugo react to this? I'm like, I don't know. What kind of alcohol has he had to drink? Like, who knows?
Right? You're like, how many drinks is he in today?
Yeah, right? It's hard to say. It's not, and I feel like they didn't have as nice of an arc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think trying to compact it into a YA book does change some of the stuff that you're
I'm going to do it one day, Margaret. I'm going to do it, and you're going to be like, wow, Jade Mare.
I'll read it, Christine, because you wrote it. Just don't kill off the main character. I don't read those books.
I shan't, because she's the narrator in the books, so like.
I did like that she had
unless you end the book with her death.
The little epilogue that tells you everything that happens after, because I'm one of those people that's like, I want to know what's happened 10 years down the line with these characters, and you don't get that a lot in YA.
Yeah, well, Jane Eyre does that too, so I thought that was good.
Which I love. Dear Reader,
me too.
I'm married. Like,
Dear Reader, I know he's
I hated
children, but I gave him one anyways. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I hated the epilogue. I hated the epilogue.
Fair.
Of this, simply because it just felt very info dumpy. Like, it didn't feel that's what we needed. It felt like this is what's happening, and oh my gosh, look, we're on a cute day watching the sunset at the end. And I was
also, can we talk about the fact that so in Jane Eyre, Rochester like burns his body, he's blind, he can hardly walk. And in this one, Hugo like has a limp and like a scar on his face, and she's like, "Oh no, he is forever changed." And I'm like, I don't know if that's the same thing, bro. He literally crash landed from space, and you're telling me it wasn't as bad as a house fire? Like,
yeah, like really, sir. He didn't have to get anything amputated.
Yeah. So I just like, I don't know it like.
Christine, your face. All right, so Chris did request that we talk about how useless George is, and I think we sort of touched on that. But let's go ahead and rip into George for a minute. Like, what the crap?
George, we're as useful as George from Grey's Anatomy.
Like, if he wasn't in the story, it wouldn't have changed anything.
Yeah.
Like, he literally wouldn't have changed the plot. It wouldn't have changed the character development. It wouldn't have changed anything.
Why'd she have to kiss him?
It just would have made
it
the
beginning
20 pages shorter.
No.
A little bit, but you could have made something else for it. You know what I mean?
Well, I feel like
could have been like she at the DJ party and like then like vomited on someone's pants or something. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, she need to make a fool of herself. Like Jane doesn't make a fool of herself in the original book, so technically she
and Jane's so reserved. She never would have done that.
Obviously.
She's better.
I originally thought that like he was going to be her connection back to the stalwart to get her back to the stalwart, but then I was like, oh wait, John's there.
John. Yeah.
And 10 times better. I loved John. John is the one that I personally.
John is the man.
We all agree.
I would date John.
I think too the thing that
John is great.
I love about John. is that John loved her, and then when she was like, "Nah, man, I love Hugo," he was like, "That's great. I'm happy for you." Like he was
This one.
like a good boy. BOI.
He was a good boy, and he also has a great sense of humor. I loved his sense of humor. I was like, yep, that's the one with the sense of humor that's like mine.
Also, in Jane Eyre,
love it when they actually.
Sorry, no, you go first.
Oh, okay. I was like, I loved it when they got to actually to Earth, and Stella was like, "Don't say I told you so," and he's like, "It's okay. I'll be saying it in my head."
Yeah,
don't know why.
Yeah, he was right.
Hilarious.
I was so happy for him.
Right. That was right.
In Jane Eyre, though, Jane has like all these female friends. She has like Bessie, and she has the teacher, and she has Helen, and she has Diana, and the other one, and then in this she has George. And I feel like she should have had like a female friend as well, like instead of some guy for her to just be like flirty with. Like she had so many like guys that she was like, "What do I do?" And like I feel like we were missing something by not having her have a meaningful female connection.
Yeah.
So I kind of felt like
a female friendship or connection, because I felt like that Jane and Xiao had a good connection there. I like that, and I also liked how she improved Grace Pool's character, so she's actually a character.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed. But I guess like a friendship, like someone her own age that like makes her see her self-worth and stuff. Because like Helen was pretty fundamental, and then like Mary and Diana were pretty fundamental. So it's just like, but we got George instead. So.
Yeah.
Lucky us.
Nope. We didn't need George.
Nope. Should have pulled the Grey's Anatomy. That'll bust roll up in here.
I'm still upset that he didn't die.
Me too.
Like, why?
And did you read the acknowledgments? Do you read the acknowledgments? I guess like her friends. Okay, so her friends like convinced her to kill him, so she did it and then undid it.
Here it is.
Oh. And I'm like,
this is the point is mea culpa. I'm like, what? No.
Just poppycock.
Okay.
This ain't it.
Do we have anything else we want to discuss or talk about? It's all game. Movie or book? Anything we missed?
I feel like we didn't really zero in on how upsetting that fart monster was.
Oh my God, Christy!
It was horrific. I feel stupider.
I was horrified by the fact that he was sleeping underneath it. Why would you put him on the top bunk?
True. That is weird.
It was
not gonna
like, I don't believe in, like speciesism in terms of aliens, but like also kind of I do now. Like also that one, that's not it. Like you're gonna get pink eye being around that guy.
The fart monster didn't bother me. Sure.
Hold on, you cut out.
The fart monster didn't bother me in this because he reminds me. Yeah, he reminds me of this one. What is it called? Character from the Orville. I don't know if you guys have seen that show, but it's like a sci-fi comedy, whatever.
I'm aware.
And there's like a blob monster.
That's fun.
I don't know. He reminded me of him, so that's why I didn't hate him.
I felt like it was very juvenile humor that was meant to appeal to children. So I understood why it was in there. Like I got why it was in there.
Children need to grow up. She said
it was early 2000s. On the rise. True. I mean, Shrek came out the year before? So I see. You know what I mean?
I have no idea when Shrek came out.
I think it came out in 2001, 2002. So it was early 2000s.
Alex would know. Alex likes Shrek a lot.
It's like
I'll look it up now because I'm
too much.
Also a good musical.
It's such a great movie. Oh no.
Alex sent me a video of the battle scene from the portal scene from Avengers Endgame with I Need a Hero from Shrek 2, and I literally was so upset with him. I'm like, why would you ruin the most emotional scene of my life? Like, why would you do that to me?
That's right.
It was horrific.
If you didn't know,
2001.
2001. Shrek also has a musical, and it is fantastic. If you have not heard,
Everything has a musical.
you need to check it
I
out.
watched it on Netflix, and it's got issues. I found Donkey so unfunny in the musical. It upset me.
Oh no!
Like that is half of his draw. And
I love the fact that it has so many like call outs to musical like you know how Shrek did the call outs to movies, like it does that with musicals.
Oh, that's cool.
And I like
Yeah.
Shrek and Fiona as a couple when they have a fantastic song. Anyways, completely different subject than what we're supposed to be talking about.
Wait, this wasn't Shrek Week?
No, this is not
It's
Shrek
Shrek
Week. It's not a Disney movie. Okay, so anything else? Anything else? I'm trying to think.
I like your poster.
I'm assuming we're talking about Cecilia's.
Yeah.
Butterfly poster or
Oh,
Planet
the woman. The woman.
That's really nice
Oh,
art.
this is like a tattoo thing.
Oh, wow. I
I
love
got
it.
it in a subscription box.
Cool.
Nice.
It's huge, but I love it.
It's gorgeous.
Okay, I think that is going to be it for the most part. All we have left to do is announce when the next round of Vaultathon is going to be and what the movie for that is going to be. And it is going to be March 16th through the 22nd, because March seems to be one of the months where we don't have a lot of readathons going on. No, Christine, it's not that. And the movie is going to be Atlantis: The Lost Empire.
Awesome. That's one of my
Good
favorites.
stuff.
I'm very happy about that choice, but I feel misled.
I was just checking because it was going. I just wanted to make sure all months were clear. Anyways, so it's going to be Atlantis. I can't say it. It's going to be Atlantis: The Lost Empire. I have not chosen the group book yet because I haven't found one that I like, and it's also 4 months away. So I will be going on the Vaultathon Twitter later to give you guys all of the details for what the book is going to be when I figure out what the book is going to be.
Send me the prompts and let's find one together.
Well, I haven't figured out the prompts yet because
okay.
I don't actually do the prompts until I figure out what the book is, so I can make sure that the book covers all of them, which is why it was nice to have done 2 books that I've already read.
Yeah.
But like one of the key things I want about this readathon is I want people to be able to pick up one book and be
Well,
able
maybe I know a good book.
yes, well now that you know what the movie is, you can help me.
I'm thinking.
Well, we don't have to do it now. Anyways, March 16th through 22nd, 2020 is when the next round is going to be, because the holidays are going to kill everyone, and then we have Blackathon in February. So, yeah.
True that.
Or I'm assuming Jesse will be doing Blackathon in February, and I want to participate in that. And
Me too.
Cool. All right, so
I won't
thank
feel
you to you lovely ladies for coming and talking this movie about me, and the book, and roasting the book. It's fine. I still love you. I still love it. And that's it. So, thank you so much for joining us, everyone. That is it for now. Happy reading, and I will see you later when we will talk about more wordy, nerdy things.